Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back once again. I am Nicodemus Kane. Today is Friday, July the 15th of 2022. And today we're going to read Isaiah 14. A somewhat tricky, not a very soft reading today. This is going to be one of those that you are definitely going to have to pray for discernment, and you're going to have to pray for the Father to tell you exactly what this means. Because straight off the bat in this chapter, there is it's a very tricky passage. And it continues to be tricky throughout the whole chapter. This is one of those chapters that a lot of people, certain people will point to and they will say, see, look, this tells me right there that whenever I inherit the kingdom, I'm going to be ruling over you. That's exactly what this says. So we're going to have to take this and read it and try to understand it as best we can. Now, I have already got my thoughts on this, and we can already talk about, when we get there, what it means. So I'm going to have my opinions, but I'm going to tell everybody else, use your own discernment to tell you what you think this means. I also wanted to talk about some other stuff after the fact, but I figured we can go ahead and get into this first while it's fresh on my mind. We'll talk about all the stuff afterwards. I prayed for wisdom today, so I'm hoping to get some wisdom today, because it's been a tricky night. It was a tricky sleep. There was a conversation before I went to bed, and it's kind of weighed heavy on me all night. So, it's still on my mind. But that's later. Let's go ahead and read this first. Isaiah chapter 14. Now remember, I'm going to read until we get to a paragraph break, and then we're going to talk about what we just read. All right? Okay. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Okay, as a paragraph break, right at verse 4. Now, did anybody catch it? This is what a lot of people use, especially the Hebrew Israelites that go out on the corners that tell all the white people that you're going to be our slaves. This is what they use. This is that line. There's context missing in it. Of course, always context missing in it, but these are the verses that they use to say, you're all going to be our slaves. All right, let's read it again. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. Okay, that speaks for itself. And the strangers, the Gentiles, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. As the branches, they later in the New Testament, they talk about not cleaving. What's the word that they use? They put two branches together. Oh, come on now. Um, I'm looking it up so I can be merging two branches. No, not merging. It is. There's a word for it. And yet, what's interesting, grafting. There it is. Jeez, that took me a second, didn't it? The Gentiles shall be grafted onto the branch of Jacob, and that will bring them into the house of Israel, into the people of Israel. It says that somewhere in the New Testament. It says it several other places as well. But here it says they will cleave to the house of Jacob. That's the strangers. That's the Gentiles. That's the people that are not a part of Israel. That's once you are grafted in, then you become part of the family. You start following what the family follows. You are an adoptive child of that belief, that understanding, that system. Okay? And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. The people of Israel shall bring them. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So that's a hard one. That's one that we're going to have to talk about a little bit. They shall possess them in the land for servants and handmaids. Now, is this all the Gentiles? I don't know. They shall take them captives whose captives they were. Have you ever possessed anyone? I've never possessed anyone. So no, I'm not going to be taken captive because I've had no captives. They shall rule over their oppressors. Have I ruled over anyone? I was a supervisor. I was put in a supervisor role. Is that ruling over someone? I don't know. I've always thought that I was a pretty fair supervisor. I'm sure that I have tried to push people away somewhere along the line, and that I have built myself up more than I should have, but I can't even think of it anymore because I was chosen to be saved. So according to this, the worst that you can get is to be taken as servants and handmaids, unless you have been one of those that has taken captives or has been ruled over. Am I wrong? Now, even then, there's a colon there. They shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Those that have taken captives will become captives, and those that have ruled shall be ruled over. Those that were oppressors shall be ruled over. Are they only talking about the people that have done that? See, there is a context here. This is not talking about every single Gentile that comes in. This is talking about people that comes in and they are grafted into the house of Jacob, and they are brought in. But by all accounts, because those sentences are connected by the colons, that it all means one thing. It all means those that were brought in for servants and handmaids were the ones that were taken captive and the ones that were ruled over by the oppressors. Now, we're all slaves now. I get it whenever the Hebrew Israelites go on the corners and they start talking about, We're going to rule over you. We're going to have our stuff back. We're going to get all this stuff, all this stuff back, all these treasures. I understand where that comes from. Because they were told for years and years and years that they've been slaves for 400 years. They've been ruled over. They've had their entire everything cut off. And they have. Because they are true Hebrews. Everything points to black people being true Hebrew Israelites. And I've said that before. Everything points to it. But somewhere along the line, they found a way, the people of the world, the true oppressors of this world, have found a way to make us all slaves, to make us all the same. They brought us all down to the lowest levels. And they have it on the books, in the records, legally binding, that they own every single one of us through our birth certificates. I've said this as well. This is a culmination of everything that I've talked about piece by piece by piece, putting it together. We, the people on the bottom right now, me, my wife, our children, our grandkid, a lot of other people that we know, we are not the oppressors. We are not the people that brought captives in. Are we descendants of people like that? I have no clue. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what has happened in my past. Because that's happened in my past. I am living my life now, and I have been saved by Christ so that I can at least try to save souls. Now, if it comes that the sins of the father are still going to be passed down to the children, then so be it. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't know what my ancestors have done. As far as I know, the most that I know, and I take this with a grain of salt, is that my ancestors didn't come over until way later. So I don't know. And then went back for whatever reason, and then came back, in the early 1900s. That's what I was told. I don't know if it's true or not. But when they say this, and they say everyone out here is going to be ruled over, you're all going to be our slaves, and I've heard it so many times, and I've had to scour the Bible to try to find that. And this is about the only place. I mean, there's other places where it says they will come to you and yada, yada, yada. All the Gentiles will come back. But this is about the only place where it says they will possess them for servants and handmaids. And, the oppressor shall be ruled over. And, so it's like, what makes you think that I'm one of those rulers? I'm one of those oppressors. I'm sure when the judgment day comes, then I will understand it. But until then, I don't know. And again, this is after everything falls apart. This is, if the timeline here is right, then we are talking about coming back into the 1,000 years reign of Christ, because things have already fallen apart. The sun and the moon have darkened and all this other kind of stuff. The heavens have shaken. God's already sent people through the land. Everything. And then they gather everybody together. Everybody comes back, and who's left is grafted into the house of Israel through Jacob. So I don't know. It's some big, heavy, not just heavy as in, hard to hear, but it's a big, heavy thought process going on here that we need to understand. So if you're ever on a street corner, and I've heard these guys face to face, if you're ever on a street corner and you have some guy that's sitting there yelling at you, saying you're going to be my slaves, I'm going to rule over you, I'm going to have your daughters, I've heard some pretty vile things. I've heard these guys say some pretty vile things. Even though they can get 90% of it correct on what they're saying, and I can believe them. They will turn around and they will say stuff like that, and it's like, you're going to be making a concubine of my granddaughter? What? This is the kind of stuff they say. It's like, dude, she's 3. Piss off, man. It's that kind of power when you give that kind of word without taking the context of it to people that can use it and twist it and manipulate it. They can make you think all kinds of things. And I've seen enough people that will go up to them and bow down to them and say that, oh, I worship you because, you're going to be lorded over me and all this. And the only thing I can think of is, no, you bow down to no man. If they are using that to lord over you, they're not inheriting the true kingdom. You should really stop and think about what's going on there. I'm not blasting anybody here. I am definitely saying, though, that there are a lot of people out there that are using the word wrong in order to elevate them above other people. That is exactly what Christ warned against. I'm just saying. That is exactly what Christ warned against. Those that got the best seats in the church, those that wore the best dress, those that went out there just to be seen, those that used their works to brag about their lives. Those people. It's in the Bible. We're all talking from the same book here. Just saying. And if you read only one passage here, one passage there, you can twist it and manipulate it into ways that will make you look better than everybody else. So do your own due diligence. I am not the perfect Bible scholar. I cannot tell you for certain what that means, where exactly on the timeline that goes, how that's going to happen. All I can do is point it out because that's what God wants me to do. So we're going to leave that there. Now, of course, there are 4 different passages that come after this that are inside of Isaiah. It's like 49:22, 69, 66:20, and then a 60:14. And I'd looked at those before I started recording. And each one of those only specifically say that the strangers will come in. The strangers will be allowed to come in. The Gentiles will come and they will come in and they will, it's like the passage, the Gentiles shall come at the end of days and say that we have inherited lies. And then we want to be saved. Pretty much. It's the same concept. This is the one that says when these people come in, they're going to be made as servants and handmaids and, ruled over and oppressed. That doesn't say we're going to be ruled over and oppressed. It just says the oppressors will be ruled over and oppressed. I asked for understanding and discernment today. So we're going to see where it goes, all right? And it shall come to pass in that day the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Now that's the supposed 1,000 years of reign with Christ, the rest period. So you're going to have all of these strangers, all of these Gentiles come in, and apparently, while the Hebrews, while the Israelites are resting, all the Gentiles are working. That's what it says. That's what the book says. I don't know. Just putting that out there. And from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. We're all slaves now. But we're all slaves now. Somebody was saying it the other day on a video that the current money system is a debt system. That there is no actual exchanging of goods. Therefore, every bit of money that you get is a slavery note. You are constantly putting yourself in bondage over and over again with every dollar that you inherit. That's what it is. Every dollar you take is a slavery note. Every debt you take is slavery. That's why God says after 7 years you let the debt run off, because he also says after 7 years you let a slave go. You take a servant in for 6 years. On the 7th year you let him go. When you accept a debt, if it is not paid in the 6 years, you let it go on the 7th year, so that people are not slaves to you. That's what it says. Money, part of that beast system, is slavery. We are all slaves. There is nothing we're working for. We already own nothing. That's amazing that the Klaus Schwab and the WEF say that, we will own nothing and we will be happy. You already own nothing. None of this is yours. I mean, you may have physical objects that you have, that you don't own the house you live in. I understand this. We just bought a house. I understand this. We don't own the house. We don't own the land. There's nothing on here that we own, and at any time can they come and take it away from us. Legally, there's some system in process, but still, they have other legal systems in place that can very easily take everything away from you. I don't think they ever pull that out, because if it was ever put on the books that the United States government, hell, any world government at this point, because I think they're all connected, that if the government were to have it on the books that they had to pull that rule that says that you are not a sovereign citizen, that you are legally binding to the governments of the world or whatever it is, and that you own no property whatsoever because a dead corporation cannot own its own property. If that's ever on the books, people find out and people push back. It's like all those stories that I hear of the guys that when they go into court and they are sovereign citizens and they claim sovereign citizenry, and they know how to tell the judge, how to tell the court, you have no laws against me because I am my own man. The courts can't do anything about it. There's still some legally binding contract somewhere that says that, there's certain things that we can do. But for the majority of us, we're all debt slaves. We're all in bondage. We're all slaves right now. And it's going to stay that way until people get their act together and figure it out. That's the way it is. This whole system is evil and corrupt. It's been that way for 200 years, give or take. I'd say the worst of it is about 150 years, 120 years. Well, no. 130 years. It'll take, I want to say 1890. Maybe even more than that, 1880. I don't know. We're all slaves now. There's no... The only difference between us at this point is skin color, and that doesn't matter. We're all slaves now. We're all in it. It is us versus them. I've been saying that one for a long time. Take that as you will. Do your research. Ask for discernment on that one, because that is a hard one to process. All right, verse 4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet. They break forth into singing, which they've said time and time again that everybody will be singing, even as the persecutors are being killed. I've talked about that one before. We read it in a psalm when I said, when the worst people in the world are getting they're being thrown into the fire, whenever they're being killed, when their children are being dashed against the stones, people will be singing. I've said that time and time again. Just wait until you hear the singing whenever the evil men of this world are being killed, taken to their deaths. There will be singing. That sounds brutal, but it is what it is. Then again, the evil people that were in the Old Testament, they were laughing and chuckling whenever they were killing innocent people. But hey, to each his own, I guess. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. And I'm sure that's probably tree feller, no feller, not a feller, like a, Southern American, what's up, feller? No, not that, no feller, no tree feller. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Hell from beneath is moved for thee. Why that is not in a metal song now, I don't know. Hell from beneath. Hell, tell me it's Sheol. Hades, or the world of the dead. Sheol, yeah. The place where they all go, the pit, the underground. A place of exile, not a place of fiery pits and demons dancing to Slayer and, Sheol. This is just a place of exile. Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee. At thy coming, it stirreth up the dead for thee. What is the dead? Ghost of the dead, spirits. It stirs up the spirits for thee. Even all the chief ones. Ram, he-goat. What? Leaders of the people. Even all the chief ones, all the he-goats, all the rams. That is interesting. All the rams of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of nations. All the kings of the nations. Okay. Great goats. It says right here in Hebrew, leaders or great goats. Interesting stuff. Oh, Oh, I lost my place. Okay, verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? I'm guessing that's the leader saying that, or is that the ones that were pulled, the ones that were in Sheol, that are coming out of the pit are going to say, art thou also as weak? Art thou also become as weak as us? Okay. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. I got you. And the noise of thy viols. The noise of thy viols. Are we talking about like an instrument? Skin bag for liquids? A lyre. There it is. That's what I thought. The pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols. It's an instrument. The worm is spread under the tree, under thee, not under the tree, excuse me. Wow. And the noise of thy viols, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. I'm going to have to move closer to my desk. I need new glasses, or I need glasses, period, because I'm starting to have problems reading. Never thought I'd get to this point in my life where I'm going to have to start wearing glasses just to be able to read. That's crazy. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Of course, we've heard that one a million times. We've heard it everywhere. Well, there it is right there. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? I just wanted to see Lucifer, the light bearer, of course, shining one, morning star of the king of Babylon, and Satan. Describing the king of Babylon. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yeah, sorry, buddy, but that ain't going to happen. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. That's some beautiful stuff when you're talking about the devil. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Amen. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. They that do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saying, the Lord of hosts, saith the Lord of hosts, sorry. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, the remnants, and son and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. Okay, what are those words? 23, I will also make it a possession for the bittern, for the species of bird. Perhaps the bittern from skunk? No. It says it's either a porcupine. I will make it a possession for the bittern, for just another animal. I will take everything you have. I will raise it to the ground. I will make it a possession for animals that mean nothing. Pretty much. And pools of water. And I will sweep it with the besom of destruction. The broom. Besom. Wow. Broom. Okay. With the broom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. So, while all this is going on, while everybody is coming back to Israel and being grafted into the tree and tree of life, and is being led to rest, they opened up Sheol. They opened up hell. And they're saying down to the people that are there, where are you now? Look at you now. You've done nothing for this world but lie and cheat and steal and hurt people. And how have you fallen? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Son of the morning, you used to have so much, and you decided to ruin it all. So because of that, you and your children and your children's children, and all the people that you have corrupted, and all the places that you have corrupted, all the people that you have hurt, everything that you have done will be washed away as if a broom of destruction had run over it. And you will have nothing left. So saith the Lord. 24. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died with this burden. And that's what God said. He said, I will, because, well, first of all, he let it happen. Because Israel chose not to listen. Because the people chose not to listen. So he let all the destruction. He let everything just ride right over them. And then he said, now that it's done, now that, I've let as much destruction come as I need to happen to show my people that they need to come back to me, I will stop it. Who can stop it? Because this is the purpose that I've had. This is my earth. This is what God is saying. This is my earth. I'm going to do with it what I want. And I can stop it right now. Just like this. And he stopped it. Because he said it was time. It's time to end it. It's time for that rest to happen. 29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina. Land of sojourners. Palestine, Philistines. Nice. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's roots shall come forth a cockatrice, a dragon, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. A fiery flying serpent. Isn't that amazing how that works? And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety, and I will kill thy roots with famine, and he shall slay thy remnants. Howl, O gates, cry, O city, thou, whole Palestina, art dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. So rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. Do not rejoice yet, because for out of the serpent's root shall come a cockatrice, a flying fiery serpent. For even though you will have good, I am still going to send you bad. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy roots with famine, and he shall slay thy remnants. So even though you think that at this point, because he that is striking you down has been taken away, you're still going to have troubles. Interesting stuff. And there's probably a ton more to unpack there. But right now, I don't have it. Right now, I don't have it. I wish I did, but right now, I just don't have it in me. I just don't, I'm not getting anything from it. And if I'm not getting anything from it, then I'm not going to force it. Because I found that sometimes if I force an understanding that I don't have, that doesn't come out right. So I'm not even going to try. So you're going to have to take it as it is. You're going to have to pray for your own discernment on that one and figure it out for yourself. Because I can only give you so much. I really can only give you so much. I do find that interesting, though. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Now, I know that's a bit of wordplay there, but that we know that we know that things like the Amaru were fiery flying serpents. It's just interesting stuff, man. Of course, this also says a double-headed serpent. I looked up Amaru, and of course, Amaru is it's one paragraph on Wiki. There's nothing. It's just absolutely nothing. Apparently, Amaru is now that's lovely. What is that? A Fortnite character? What is that? Oh, things have changed so much. Things have changed so much within 3 years that it's. You used to be able to look up Amaru, and it used to be nothing but talking about flying serpents, flying serpent gods. And you used to be able to go through it constantly, but now there's an Amaru Chicago. It's a winery. And then there's that tiny little, it's like one paragraph, Amaru Wikipedia. And then it's all junk after that. It's all garbage. Things have changed so much. It's crazy. I want to show you guys something. I know that some of you might have seen this. Truth Stream Media did this a while back. Let me make sure we're still recording. All right. They did this one a couple weeks back. When you search something in Google and you look at the first page, this says 11 million, about 11.4 million results. And it only took 0.62 seconds to populate 11.4 million results. So you can count them here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, about 24. Let's just say 24, 25. Say about 25 per page. So that's just the first page of Google. This says there's only 7 pages. Let's go to the 7th page. Let's go to the bottom. Make sure we are on the very last page of Google. You go back up, and this says page 7 of about 181 results. This took 0.88 seconds. So wait a minute. Where's the other 399,000? Oh, come on. Taking your time. There you go. Back to the first page, and it's 11.4 million results. Okay, that's fine. Boy, my computer's just going slow as heck today. Oh, now it's stopped. It's completely frozen. Am I completely frozen? It looks like I'm completely frozen. I don't even know if I'm recording anymore. My mouse is still moving. My microphone is not showing that I'm recording. My time is still going. But I don't know if I'm recording anymore. So I'm going to close that. Okay, there we go. That's weird. Hopefully that all came through. See, it's probably something stupid going on in the background. It's probably a good reason for me to stop, since I don't know if I'm actually recording anymore or not. Counter's still going, but I can't tell if my voice is still going anymore. All right. So I guess I'm not going to get to talk about what I was wanting to talk about. I was wanting to talk about the Google thing first. Let's do the Google thing first. Where's all the rest of those results going? Google tells us that it searches through millions and millions and millions of web pages, yet it will only offer you a tiny % of web pages to you. Google is not your friend. Anytime I've ever said Google that shit, I don't mean it anymore, because Google's not your friend. I don't think DuckDuckGo's any better. I really don't. I don't think any of them are any better. I think they all populate the same craptastic pages. I think that they want you to think that the internet is so big and huge and monstrous, and it really isn't, because I think they've purged most of the internet over the past 20 years. Not 20 years, 10 years. Because it used to feel like the internet was huge. At one point in time, you used to be able to search anything on the internet, and you used to be able to come up with all kinds of stuff. Everywhere you used to go used to be stuff. But I think that within the past 10 years, they've done their best to purge everything. It's either that or they won't let you search for something, because they just take it off the books. So it like sits out there in limbo. It's like shadow banning. It's just, if they take you off the search results, who's going to find you? You know, if it wasn't for the yellow pages back in the day, how would you know that there's a mechanic shop, you know, down the street, unless you had passed it a million times? You know, you never would have known. So it's the same concept, is that if they don't want you to find it, you're not going to find it. And that is an arbitration of truth. That is, well, maybe not truth so much. That's just an arbitration of finding out information. These people are the arbiters of your information, and we have the power to stop it, but most people won't. So what are you going to do about it? Pointing that out there. I was going to talk about some other stuff too, but man, my computer is not doing good. I see that I have my device needs to restart for updates, which is probably what was going on. It's probably taking all that bandwidth to download updates. So I'm going to get off here and restart my computer. I'll talk about the other stuff I wanted to talk about later. Just not today. Anyways, thank you guys for coming around. God bless every single one of you. Take care of yourselves. I will talk to you guys later. You guys take it easy, all right?